Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan. I've been trading cannabis stocks for the last 13 years and 7 months. We're going to check in on the sector. It's certainly been despair out there with price action leading to lower lows. We're going to talk about where we're headed, what we're looking for in June, key levels from here, and again, repeating my expectations and my game plan for the rest of the year. So a couple weeks ago, I went back to all cash in the sector. I did make another attempt to reestablish a position in MSOS, and that stopped out. I'll go over that in a little bit more detail in just a moment. So what I care about, there's only 3 things that are going to get me into this sector. Number 1, bulls confirming trend changes back in their favor and showing some nice price action with things clearly shifting. Number 2, a surprise headline. Somebody gets bought out or something along those lines, which quickly shifts sentiment in the sector. Or number 3, time. Heading to August, September, and knowing that for me, I think another potential catalyst is towards the finalization of Schedule 3, but also the Florida vote and, of course, the potential talking points. What we really want to see is what we've seen happen in crypto over very quickly the last 2 weeks. So there was a 25% chance that ETH would see an ETF approved for it, Ethereum. And then you have Trump coming out and say, hey, I'll accept crypto donations. I'm the crypto candidate. I support crypto businesses. I support Bitcoin and your freedom of choice. And instantly, Biden and this administration, who have been cracking down on crypto and essentially, even talking about an anti-crypto unit, are doing a complete 180 as quickly as they can. And within days, we now have an approved ETH ETF. And they're trying to say, no, we like crypto too. And we'll take donations too. And so now they're battling over this talking point as to who's going to claim it and who's going to be the better candidate on this issue. And right now we have Biden and, clearly they're jumping on cannabis as one of their issues. Trump hasn't said anything about it. We want to see them battle over this issue and say, nah, that's mine. I'm going to say the more positive things and get that vote. And so it's happening in crypto way out of left field, and it's not happening in cannabis. So that is something that bulls want to see. So, all right, let's talk about the weekly rising wedge. So we started looking at this weekly rising wedge 2 months ago, and I did not think it was the most likely scenario, but as soon as we saw the reaction to the headline, then it was, that is probably a rising wedge. Again, the rising wedge is when you break resistance, straight into a pullback, break resistance, straight into a pullback, break resistance, straight into a pullback, because that shows the bulls are tiring. There's no follow through. And so now we have the support breaking, and we're looking down at 730 as the level from here. There is a gap to fill on the daily. So there's a level at 787. But 787 and 730 are the next 2 levels that we're looking at. And as far as the monthly, remember how long it took to gain the monthly uptrend? Couple month bounce, couple month pullback, sideways. It took like 6 months to confirm that uptrend. The 730 level is our last monthly high or low. So we could say we are in a monthly uptrend as long as 730 holds. If we lose that level, we are no longer in a monthly uptrend. We are, let's see, the daily time frame has a lot of space for a lower high to form as the result of the next bounce. We got an hourly downtrend as our guide. So we had a lower high at 853 on Friday, another little lower high at 827. And when we get a bounce going, again, we can bounce 10% plus and just look for a daily lower high to be the result of that bounce. So if things are going to change, I need a big bounce, a higher low, and a higher high back in an uptrend. And then I'll say, hey, we're in a daily uptrend. That's a shift. But for now, the bears are in full short-term control, and the bulls have not really been anywhere in sight since we spiked up here. And that was when I sold a chunk of MSOS at 1030. That was the second chance move. Again, here's your huge headline reaction. There's your huge red flag. There's a little short-term second chance here, but this was the real second chance in terms of both longs looking to size down and shorts looking to reload or grab a position. So again, it's lack of liquidity. It is extremely easy to take out the bid because there's no bid support. And again, summer on the OTC volume is notoriously low. Should have gotten a chart, but I've seen charts in the past back in my penny stock trading days where it's like the dollar volume on the OTC from May through August is a fraction of what it is in other months. So bears in full control. TCNNF is still holding its tightening range right now. We're going to battle 1042 support to start this coming week. So again, we're within the candle of the headline day. higher low. So breakout, higher low, lower high, trying the higher low. After 1042, it's $10. And again, losing what I want to look at a chart and say what like something has changed. So I was saying I like TCNNF long as weekly EMA 12 is support. Held it, just barely held it again. We have finally lost it, closed below it. This is the first time we've closed below that this year. That stands out as this is something different than what we've seen all year. The Bears want to take out $10 to more convincingly take control, but TCNNF is still holding on better than the other tier ones. And you can see to end this week, we reached the strongest it's ever been compared to MSOS. And that's because the other tier ones are a bit weaker. I do expect this relative strength to continue as long as the Florida vote is still in the, not the rear view mirror, out the windshield in front of us. So I don't care about polls until later summer. Then I think it's going to start being meaningful as far as impacting price. Just imagine it this way. If the poll gives, percentage at 60%, that means it's a 50-50 as to whether we pass or not. So it'll be 50% priced in, we can say, that it's passing. If the polls are showing 55%, then we can say it's being priced in that it's not going to pass. If it's 70%, it's being priced in that it's going to pass. But because it's going to be a close call down to the wire, probably, the market's not going to be able to accurately price it in advance. And so I do expect a decent bit of volatility as we get real close to the actual vote taking place. GTBIF, clear bear break to end the week. And again, just 1088 is the only support here nearby. And we have a lot of names that are testing the low of the year. So 1088 is key. Again, a lot of space. There is a little level here, resistance. So I'll say 1280 is a little lower high. So anything above 1280, or I should say anything under 1280, just a lower high. Again, 10% bounce, still just a daily lower high. You've got Curaleaf also showing weakness. Trading view is real slow for me right now. I need to reboot it. But Curaleaf is knocking on the door of 2024 lows. The tier 2 names, VRNOF. This was a long, drawn-out equilibrium. Higher low, lower high, higher low, double top, bear break. And we did hit the lowest level in 2024 to end this week. AYRWF is on the verge of 210 breaks. It's the lowest level, not of the year, but lowest level in months. So there's not a lot in the short term that bulls are excited about. AYRWF, 210 is the most important short-term support for me. So again, it's, it is bleak out there. You can see the social media sentiment. And the sentiment is one thing. The price action is another thing. And obviously the price action is weak. But if it's going to be a capitulation kind of sentiment period here, that's when you get to historical oversold RSI levels. So again, we're not close to a capitulation kind of move, in my opinion, just yet. If we see, if we drop another 8% next week, we'll be approaching some short-term capitulation. Canadian side, so CGC still tightening up. Bulls really want to hold 876. So lower high, trying for this higher low. Looks like earnings are coming up. We'll have to double check that date because TradingView often gets those wrong. But bulls have to show up to start this week and make our way back up over $10 if we're going to keep this equilibrium going. But it's looking better than tier 1 MSOs right now just because we are holding the low of May. And, Curaleaf, low of May was up here, 520. We're already 10% under that level. ACB, same deal. Trying for the higher low compared to 628. We held it by 4 pennies. Bulls needed a move to start the week here. Earnings next week, it looks like. And anything under 814 would be a lower high. But it's looking like for both CGC and ACB, earnings could potentially dictate how we break this sideways range. A lot of the U.S. sideways ranges are breaking bear. These sideways ranges have not broken yet. Cron, potential head and shoulders here. So if we bounce, holding 254, we look for the lower high compared to the top, and then we'll see if we get that head and shoulders confirmed. And that's similar. TCNNF had something similar shaping up. So if TCNNF breaks 1042 and $10, it's essentially left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And again, all that is an uptrend shifting to a downtrend. Higher lows and higher highs, lower high and lower low is the right shoulder. TLRY fading back down. So again, we're just looking at the base 160 to 165. There was some dilution along the way. I forget exactly when, sometime in the last month. So that could potentially help break the support. And again, just clear relative weakness compared to the rest of the sector. CGC divided by TLRY. If this chart is going up, it shows us TLRY is weaker than CGC. But again, overall, it's one thing to have this sector showing weakness. It's another thing to have this sector showing weakness when there's so much strength in other places. Bitcoin's knocking on the door of all-time highs. You've got NVDA at all-time highs, leading the semiconductors. SPY and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ just getting up to all-time highs. You know, Google just hitting all. You get my point. There's so many places that are performing since the 2022 bear market low that helps the capitulation of people bailing, because a lot of people in this sector are just trying to get to break even, and now they're saying, okay, if scheduled 2 or scheduled 3 didn't get me to within 30% of break even, and there's elsewhere, I can make 5% risk free. Anyways, you get my point. That's the sentiment in the space right now. So the only people still in positions are those that are holding for the long term. And again, if that's your game plan, that's fine. You're just going to have to sit through a lot of volatility and potential for some slow bleeding in the meantime. So I'm going to keep following the sector closely, but again, my trading activity for this sector is just rapidly dropping off. And again, just to show my mindset, if I don't make another dollar in this sector this year, I'm perfectly fine with that. It's been a good year, and that's that. So I'm being very picky at this point, but still going to be paying very close attention, because I do think there will be one more, at least. I think worst case, there's going to be one more move out of this into the election, at least as far as 2024. Feel free to ask any questions. Hope you had a good long holiday weekend. We'll see you this coming week. I forgot to go over my trade attempt. So I sold at 10:30 a chunk of core swing, and then I tried to reload it. I got an average of 920s and exited when 876 broke. So essentially I was playing for the higher low in case we were going to do that. We didn't. Stop out, and that's that.